live from the heart of Kansas City. I screwed it up bad, man. I've been so in my head. All right, yeah, live from the heart of Kansas City, we bring you Buck and Bob Take on Chiefs Kingdom, a podcast. Oh my God, this is horrible. I'm Bob. It's been a rough tech. Yeah, it's been a rough tech day to stream on all three platforms. I'm Bob.
And I'm Buck.
And that's Mel.
I'm Mel.
All right, guys, we're going to talk about the Chiefs' latest win here, and we're kind of all over the place because we had tech difficulties. Nothing seemed to work right, so I'm definitely off. Buck's off. Mel's probably completely fine.
Mel's gonna keep everything together. She's gonna be our glue tonight.
And now Alexa's talking to me in the background. I mean, stuff is just shit's just not right today. But yeah, so do we want to get into it? Yeah, let's get into it. Man, so much. I don't know. Where do we want to start? Do you want to start with just like kind of like your takeaways or? Okay,
all right,
go.
she's already coming out strong.
I've got it. Yeah.
Nice.
I can't rely on you two to have an opening. Come on here. No, so I think we start with the way that Mahomes ran out onto the field with some gusto, right? Like he was like running out from the tunnel like, my ankle is fine, everybody, shut up.
Yeah, my 14-inch thick ankle on both ankles are fine. Yeah, he wanted to show everybody that he wasn't in pain.
100%. And then he came out the first drive down the field, was running, and I heard him say at the press conference, the plan was to not run. But then, I'm like, oh my God. And I was mad initially. I was like, why are we playing him? Like, there's absolutely no reason to play him right now. Like, let him get some rest. It's fine. But then he came out, and then I was like, you know what? This is why we love Mahomes too, though, is because he's going to get out on the field. If he can get out on the field, he's going to get out on the field, and he's going to work through the pain, and he's going to figure it out and make a game for everybody. So,
I was chatting with my friend Jason during the game, and I was saying the exact same thing. The thing that we talked about on the pregame is there is zero reason for Mahomes to be out on that field. But I still think we're at like 99% he shouldn't be out there and 1%. So him and Hollywood having that time together really is beneficial. And then this thing that we call momentum, the Chiefs have momentum with Mahomes, at the helm. Does that go away if we started Carson Wentz today? I don't think so, but I don't really want to test it either. So he did look good. You could tell he wasn't 100%, which to me means he shouldn't have been out there.
So I could tell in his throws, and I've been able to tell since he hurt the other ankle in his throws. He could still do the weird throws that nobody else does, like where he's basically just using his upper body and he's not set his feet at all, blah, blah, blah. But when he goes to set his feet and goes long, I mean, he's not hitting people. And I feel like it's gotta be his, like, it's gotta be the injury. Like, you don't just stop knowing how to throw it, deep. I don't know.
I don't think it's the injury. I think it's the treatment. I think that they're numbing up his ankles to the point where he feels no pain, but that also means he can't feel the ground. So he can't feel how much he's putting into a throw.
I don't think it's either of those. I think it's the communication with the wide receivers and how they work together, because I think we've seen him throw it down the field, and sure, a couple passes have been off to the point where it's like that couldn't have been communication. It was out of bounds or something. You know what I mean? But I also think he's, throughout the season, he's been running for his life. I will say the line looked pretty good today, which was good to see. I think we saw some good passes downfield today, and a couple misses from our wide receivers that I think they should have caught it. Worthy,
Yeah, are you talking about
defeat.
where he Sky Morted in the end zone, but almost Kadarius Toney'd it in the end zone?
Mhm.
Well, here,
Mhm.
back to just one more thing on Mahomes. Steve in Facebook chat, because guys, we are live on all three platforms: X, Facebook, and YouTube. It's crazy. I've got a lot of stuff I'm looking at right now. But Steve makes a good point. He's trying to lead by example. Possibly, he wants other people to play hurt, and he wants to show his toughness, but could it be a little bit
I don't think
of?
that's the smartest play, though.
I
I
think
I
it's actually. I think him
I
playing
understand it
today.
being the yeah, I understand the leadership aspect of things, but man, I don't want Pacheco out there at 80%. I don't want uh I don't want well, I guess we kind of need the lineman out there as
Well,
much as
that's what he said
possible.
in his press conference. He said specifically the offensive lineman I've expected to play through
Hurt.
injuries and through pain,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
why I thought it was a good point by Steve, but it kind of feels a little selfish for him to play just because, I mean,
Yeah.
our backup Carson Wentz could start easily and be an upgrade for at least 6 of the teams in the league. I mean, at least 6.
Yeah.
So it's
I think you're being modest.
and it would just be a good idea to get him some reps with the starters so they can learn the biggest thing's the snap count. And so that's where I'm just like, I feel it was a little selfish to play, I feel like. But I don't think Mahomes sees it like that. I think I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think Mahomes trusts Wentz.
I
Well, I
don't
think Mahomes
even
knows that at 80%, he's still going to be better than Carson Wentz at 100%. And that's not a slight on Wentz. He just hasn't been a starter for a very long time. And he hasn't been a starter in this offense specifically ever. So 80% of
yeah.
Mahomes is still better.
I don't think that it's any slight. I don't think it's Mahomes not having confidence in wins. Mahomes is a competitor. He wants to play. If he can play, he's going to want to play. And I think Buck brought up a good point about Hollywood Brown's first game back, like wanting to get those reps in with him. We saw some great catches from Hollywood Brown. We saw a little bit of miscommunication from the two of them as well, which I think will iron itself out. I I feel like a high ankle sprain is something that's going to linger. I think even if he stayed off of it for a week, he would have gone into the next game
It might
with
make
it.
him cold. It might make him stiff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like we're reading way too much into this. Now, if he had gone out there and was kind of like gingerly walking on it and, not being able to move around in the pocket, then I
Take him
would have
out.
been mad.
Yeah.
Then I would have been
Yeah.
mad. Yeah. But he wasn't. He was out there, he was playing his heart out. He was not acting like any pain or any discomfort. So I don't think he was wrong to play. That would be like us sitting him this week when he's fully healthy just because we didn't wanna risk him getting injured, you
Damn it,
know?
Mel,
We
you've
wouldn't do that.
literally just convinced me that I was wrong, completely wrong about wanting to sit Mahomes. Although,
You've
I
got me
man,
half. You've got me half.
if
You've
he
got me
was
more convinced than I was.
if he was any less, like 1% worse than he actually, than he
Mhm.
was today, then I would have said sit him. But
Sure.
I think with what we saw today, and he didn't take any rough hits, he didn't get any
Mhm.
worse that we can tell. So it wasn't the worst idea in the world. And hey, we got a win when we had almost talked to. I mean, Vegas opened the week, and the Chiefs were dogs at home because they thought Carson Wentz was going to start.
Yeah.
Anybody that got in on that quick is sitting pretty today.
He did. Now Mahomes did wobble a little bit, but he's done that since his rookie year, or since his first starting year. He's kind of had that weird walk. He just kind of
He
walks
waddles.
weird. Yeah.
Mhm.
He waddles a little bit.
Yeah, he does. He
Yeah.
does. He does
And his
waddle a little
run,
bit.
like, he looks funny when he
He
runs for
definitely
some
doesn't
like,
look cool when he runs.
he
No,
does not look like an athletic man running,
but
like,
neither
by
does
any
Travis Kelsey.
stretch.
Travis
Which
Kelsey looks like a big yeti running down the field. You know.
it makes me question how he was so as a shortstop in baseball, you're not always the fastest guy on the team, but you're the top 2 or 3 fastest, and I find it hard to believe that he was the top 2 or 3 fastest guy on his team. That's all. I mean, he is deceptively
Was
quick for the weird running style he uses, but it's still
Isn't it more
still not gonna
about? Isn't it more about being able to just fling your body around and throw that ball? Like,
Oh,
isn't
yeah, but
that what
you've gotta
shortstop's more
cover
about?
oh, no, no, no,
you gotta cover, like, the whole
you gotta
infield.
cover the most amount of field of any of the infielders,
Yeah.
Yep.
and you're always the guy that has the best arm.
But I do feel like he contorts his body in weird ways that
Mhm.
made it easier for him to be a shortstop,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yeah.
he can throw it from, like he could probably be standing on his head and flipping and throw
But
it,
you can't coach past the speed aspect of getting to the ball and the quick twitch to react to it right away the
yeah.
correct way. Because if you jerk the wrong way, you're done. You're out of the play.
Well,
So
and
his instinct is amazing.
yeah,
Well, he's a professional football player, not a baseball player, so maybe there's something to be said about that, you know?
The Royals could probably use a shortstop right now.
yeah, and Steven Chat also points out what I've said last week is the only reason that I would play Mahomes is to get the bye, and the bye is important for the entire team to get an extra week of rest,
Yes,
which
very much so.
probably might even be more important than Mahomes staying healthy. It's a weird thing to say, but I mean, with us having 11 games, or no, 3 games in all 11 days, that's just, it's crazy. And also the
I mean, we're
Texans,
seeing it. Chris Jones went
Steelers,
out.
and I forget the other team, but there's 3 other teams besides the Chiefs that have this, but the Chiefs could be the ones to get the bye, which would
Yep.
be huge for us out of those, 2 other playoff teams. And I forget who the third team is. I think it's Baltimore that has to do it also. So that's a huge leg up when you really
Pittsburgh.
think about it.
Pittsburgh does too, I believe.
Yeah, Pittsburgh and Texans
the
is who I
Texans.
said. And then I
Oh,
said I
okay.
think Baltimore's the third team that had
Sorry, I missed
the 3 games in 11 days. But like everybody who talks about the Chiefs point out that the Chiefs have these games, but they don't point out that 3 other teams have to go through this gauntlet as well. So I figure it's a good it's a good thing to just mention that to people.
Sure.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, 20 days of rest would be nice. But yeah, so aside from Mahomes, dude, Hicks, man, we've been talking about Hicks since preseason, and boy is coming online, dude. He is coming online. I think he was in more because Jamari Connor's hurt. So I think that's why we saw more of him. But man, he is really shaping up, and I'm feeling good about how we thought he was going to be a star.
And what about McDuffie? He goes what, like 30 some odd games without an interception, then he gets one and he's like, "Oh, that was easy. I'm just gonna make
I
it
know,
again."
just 2 in a row. Yeah.
It's like Happy
Oh,
Gilmore when
man.
he learns how to putt. He's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do that every time."
Yeah.
Guess who learned how to putt?
No,
Oh man, it's
the
all in the
defense
hips. It's all in the
defense
hips.
Hicks and McDuffie looked really good, and I'm excited to see what they can do. Now, our secondary as a whole, though, still was slightly disappointing,
Well,
right?
Najee Johnson was probably in more also because of Jamari Connor
Connor.
being out. Dude, people shit on Jamari Connor because they see his fails, but the dude plays a lot of different roles on the D and on special teams. And man, him not being in there, we definitely saw that today. Like
Well, and a lot of times those corners today were out by themselves because we were blitzing with our at least 1 or 2 linebackers on a lot of those plays. So it's hard on that coverage team when that happens, and if the pressure doesn't get to him quick, I think we saw CJ Stroud today do a lot of the things that we were talking about we wanted Mahomes to do, is a lot quicker routes so that, there was less stress on the offensive line, and I think they did that a lot today. I was fairly impressed, with the way the Texans played ball today. I mean, I wasn't expecting dogs by any means,
Yeah, I mean they were
but
9-5, you know,
yeah, but I
already playoff bound.
CJ Stroud, when he gets a really good, solid offensive line, that guy's gonna be formidable.
I feel just to bring up real our at least my heart. I'm assuming these guys' hearts go out to Tank Dell. Um,
Ooh.
gruesome knee injury.
that
I don't
poor
know if
guy.
you saw it, but we saw him laying on the ground, and I was like, "Oh my god, his bone's sticking out of his
Immediately when it was
leg."
still live. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
Mhm.
pointing to his knee, and I immediately saw it.
we
I
I
was like,
think it
saw it.
was his kneecap. I think it was his kneecap.
I
I
think it
think
was
it
either his kneecap or his
or
Or
bone.
his
Mahomes.
bone poking out.
Oh, it could have been.
Like, because it looked like his cap was still there, and it looked like the actual big bone was poking out. And I mean,
So she
they didn't show. They only showed the replay that really shows it once, at least that I saw. And then they even said they're choosing not to show certain replays because of the gruesome nature. One of the sides where it showed from, if you were looking from the goalpost, dude, you see his leg just completely break in half. Like his knee just breaks in half. And
Oh, and CJ Stroud was in tears,
oh
man.
man,
That
it's
poor
his
guy
good
had
friend. It's
and
not
I
only
think he
his
felt
teammate, it's
guilty,
his
but
off-field good friend.
it wasn't his fault. It's not like he threw it right there and he had to make some amazing catch. He threw it, he caught it, and then when he was diving, it was actually his teammate that ran into his
Yeah.
leg.
Yep.
I mean, it was just a series of super unfortunate events, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thoughts and all that
It's just
stuff
like,
out to that
when
guy and that team.
Mahomes hurt Rice, right? Like things like
Mhm.
that happen. You're not going to blame the teammate for
Oh,
doing
no,
that
yeah.
either, right? And it was just heartbreaking. I feel like when you see an injury like that, it doesn't matter which team you're on. You're just like, oh, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody, is hoping for that. And it was brutal.
Yeah, it was heart-wrenching. I literally put that in my notes, my heart breaks for this kid and this team.
Yeah.
That, you could tell they were all affected.
Oh, dude, I hate injuries on both sides. We talk about it all the time. And that injury, I mean, it reminded me the last time I saw something that looked that bad, I think was like the last time I saw it live was Alex Smith right
Mm,
after he left us and went to I think they were still the Redskins then, but the
yeah.
Commanders. And
You saw
yeah,
that live?
yeah, I watched it
That's
live.
random.
Well,
Uh,
remember when Mahomes' kneecap was on the side of his leg,
Oh, yeah, everybody does.
right?
That's why he doesn't run the ball, or that's why he doesn't have
We
any
don't
plays
quarterback sneak
designed. Yeah,
ever.
no,
yeah, but that was
yeah.
his kneecap. I'm pretty sure Tank Dell's bone was poking out. I'm pretty
Yeah, I
like
can't wait to
his
hear. It looked
leg
like his kneecap
completely.
to me, but I wasn't even
Everything that
considering the
they
thought it might be broken.
Yeah, everything that they've said is a significant knee injury. So, which leads me to believe that it wasn't his femur, right?
Yep. Speaking of,
Yeah, I guess
injuries,
so.
this was a close call, but that play that Worthy hurt himself on, did you notice
Oh,
that? And they showed the replay. I mean, he juked himself out of his ankles. I mean, he broke his own
Oh
ankle
yeah,
juking himself. The defender didn't even have a chance to touch him. It was
yeah.
a hell of a juke, but
yeah.
I mean,
That's those type of injuries can be scary though. Whenever there's a
oh, yeah.
non-contact injury, it usually means a cleat failed you. You know,
Yep.
and
listen,
and like when normally you would fall with normal shoes, you would just slip. A cleat holds you there. And that's why cleats are the wrong cleats in the wrong situations are dangerous, man.
can we talk about Worthy's 2 feet in bounds in the end zone
He needs to
or
learn.
lack
Well, hold
thereof?
on. That one
Yeah.
wasn't his fault. I have notes on this. I knew we were
He
gonna bring
didn't
this
even
up.
try.
He
Wait.
just
Are we
had to
talking about
drag his in the end zone. He just had to drag his toe.
he was draped
No, he
and he was
just
already falling out. Maybe there was another one that I might there were like 3 or
back
4 plays in
right
this.
of the end of the end of the end zone. And what made me so crazy about it is literally he caught it and he had his right foot down, his left foot was coming down his toe to scrape the ground, and he lifted it back up. I mean, he
Was there
literally
2 of 'em?
lifted it back up.
Because the one I'm thinking of, I don't think he lifted it up.
I could tell
Unless there was
you.
a
I don't
second one.
remember him lifting it up, but
There were like
I
3 or
do
4 plays that I missed in this game because I was taking care of my daughter, but I got most of it.
I would have been fine if he had one foot out of bounds, or if he hadn't have gotten it down.
It was towards
But
the end of the second
it was
quarter.
the lack of trying. I felt like like I didn't see. You see Hopkins on the sideline, and he's just like instant, like both feet touch the ground, and Worthy, I
Yeah.
just feel like
He
No,
literally lifted his
he
leg.
was covered like crazy too. Like, I mean,
he
it's not like he was out
yeah.
there by himself. That is exactly where that's the same play because it was right at the end of my first half notes. But
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
note was that he was out
Watch
of
it
bounds
over
again.
again.
But this time it wasn't a silly mistake. But
Watch
he
it
still
over again.
made. I
Watch
watched
it over again
the
because
4 replays thinking to myself the whole time,
his
like,
foot and toe are going down to touch, and he literally lifts his left leg back up. I don't know if it was just like
I did not see that at all.
automatic because he's
To be
tried.
fair, it was a hard catch. I will give him that. It was a hard catch. It wasn't like a super easy catch right in his, bread basket there, but it was a hard catch. I don't think even if he would have tried, he would have gotten both feet in bounds, but I want to see a little bit more effort because he's
I need you to, after this show, to please your homework for next week is to please rewatch that play and watch his foot coming down and he
feel like
lifts
you're not
it
going to
back
be
up.
happy unless we agree.
Well,
that we see it
there's
that way,
no
though.
agree. It's his leg, his left foot is literally going down and he lifts it back up.
That's not what I saw, man. And I watched all the replays. Like I mean, I was definitely in tune at that point of the game. But I'll watch it again. But I want you to watch it again too.
I mean, I can.
Okay.
Uh,
What else? Oh, I'll tell you another thing. I don't know unless you want to cover more of Worthy, but a kind of another thing that I kind of caught during the game after our discussion of the refs. Early on, I was like, "Are you kidding me, man?" Like the Chiefs are marching down the field and this guy throws a flag. And then it was like 3rd and 14 and Mahomes threw like a little 2-yard pass to Kelsey. And at that point, Sheffers was like, "Oh, they might get the first. I'm just going to throw this out there." And then nothing ever happened from it. But I will say this. I will say this. By the end of the first half, I had definitely changed my notes. At that point in the game, the Texans were really taking it a lot harder than the Chiefs were. And
Chiefs only
and
had 2 penalties.
there were definitely penalties that I saw on I saw Chiefs offensive line holding at least 2 or 3 times during replays, and I mean blatant holding, no doubt in my mind. I'm sure there were others that I didn't catch, but I mean there was definitely some. I, I don't want to say an advantage, but I really thought that was going to go a lot differently. I thought we were going to get hit a lot harder.
I was talking to Mel and it was absolutely crazy to me because Carl Sheffers always screws us over, and everything was on the Texans. I mean, how many did they have on the Texans?
They got absolutely bombarded with penalties.
Where's the
and
stat
some of
for
those were
penalties?
complete crap too. There was that one, I think it was defensive passing interference. And the announcers were
Yeah.
like, "What?" And I was watching
Mhm.
it and I was like, "Man,
Oh wow,
really?"
Okay, so they only had 6 for 45 yards, but I guess we just declined all the penalties.
Well, and I'll be honest about the stats too. When I first started looking at the stats, I was looking at some of them like, that does not seem like what I watched. Like the
Mhm.
amount of runs, for instance, I feel like we ran that ball at least 30 times, but we didn't. It was
Mm-mm.
roughly 20, 23, something like that.
Yeah, well, and talking about rushing, why are they putting Pacheco in places where he's more likely to fail than Hunt? Go for a
So
third and
listen,
one,
though,
he
That
gets
third and
stopped.
one.
Fourth and
Oh,
one, he gets stopped
same
again.
play.
same play.
Same play. I
Yeah.
was
Put
I
Hunt in
I
for
want
the
to
short
actually
yard.
read my notes here. You ready for this? I'm so sick of watching Marty Ball on third and short. Mind you, this is only after the third and short. I hadn't seen that yet. Unless it is building towards something later, comma, not even time for a period. This is bullshit as they do the same damn play on fourth. Utterly
Uh-huh.
ridiculous. Pacheco does not break tackles. Asinine play calling. And to do it twice in a row is absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
I,
But
I
did you
kind of feel I
notice
kind of feel like it's Kadarius Toney out there calling plays at that point.
mm, the ghost of Kadarius Toney? Yep. I think did you notice though? I don't think Pacheco got another carry after
Oh,
that
you
fourth
might
down
be
stop.
right. You might be right. I
Hunt
didn't
was
notice
in
that,
the rest of the game. And I
but I
don't think
remember
Hunt
Hunt.
had but 1 or 2 carries before that. Then
Yeah.
after that fourth down stop, it was just Hunt, 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 Hunt.
I'm telling you, after the game, I had to go run some errands and stuff, right? And I turned the radio down, and I'm thinking to myself, and that specific sequence really had seriously scared, like legitimately scared right now. We have two options. Either Andy Reid is absolutely losing it and calling the same stupid shit 2 plays in a row, and that's probably the worst case scenario. But the other is that Nagy is the one that's doing it, and Reid's just letting him. I mean,
Yeah.
there
Either
is
way.
zero reason for that play to happen twice in a row with Pacheco behind the line.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about Pacheco coming back, I said I want Pacheco to be used
Early.
first and second down, and I want Hunt to be used on short yardage runs and goal line runs. And yeah, I think they're starting to take the advice. But you look at Pacheco, man. I don't know if he was just wearing him down. He had 9 attempts, 2.9 yard average, whereas Hunt had 11 and had a 5.0 average. So I think it's really kind of pointing towards what we've talked about, that Hunt might be the better running back, even though he's old.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
I'm
he is
really
the better
starting to
running
believe that.
back right now, but I also think they do bring something different. I also think you have to remember that Pacheco is used to running with a really solid interior offensive line. And now we've got Tooney on the left side. We had you know, I forget his name in the middle at guard.
Oh, Humphrey. Oh, the other guard. Oh my God. No, Thomas, not Thomas.
Got like
Can't
a
remember.
really
Smith,
long
Smith.
Smith. Yeah, Smith.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
but
the other
who's
guard.
the one that's
Humphreys.
in for Tooney?
Oh, Caliendo.
Caliendo,
Yeah,
Mike
Caliendo.
Caliendo.
So Caliendo's doing well at protection, but he's definitely not getting the run like openings that Pacheco is used to. So I do think you have to take that into account. I think Pacheco, with the offensive line at 100%, I think would be running much better. I think
Well,
Hunt is just
I saw
more of a
Hunt
bruiser.
running behind the same line that Pacheco was tonight, and Hunt was successful, and Pacheco had a couple of flashes.
Well, okay,
Correct,
but
but I
actually,
think that's the difference though, is that I think Hunt is more of a bruiser back. So with the line that we have right now, I think Hunt is going to do better because he's going to break tackles, he's going to push forward. I think Pacheco is not used to that, and I think since he came, like when he went out, he had the line that with Tooney in the middle and
Yeah.
everybody, right? He
Well,
came
he had
back
bigger
and
gaps to run through. That's my fear,
yeah,
is that he's not gonna be effective unless he has those big gaps, and Hunt can really squeeze through a lot of those smaller holes.
yeah,
And
Undead Till Alive in YouTube chat says the same thing that I've been saying in a different way, but he says Hunt sees holes better, and I've said Hunt's vision kills Pacheco's. I mean, he just has way better vision.
what about the peace of mind on that last play where I'm fairly certain that he could have scored on that run. He had one defender to beat and he had a blocker. Now, Pacheco in that position would have had to have 0 guys in front of him. But do you think Pacheco goes down on a possible touchdown run at the end like Hunt did? I don't know. Maybe he
Yeah,
did. Maybe he was
I
coached
don't
to.
know. I would
But
hope so.
that was a heads up play. That was a
Yeah,
really heads up
super
play by
heads
Hunt.
up, non greedy play.
Yep.
Yeah, but
I think that's
I
Andy,
want to
though. I
go
think
back
that's Andy
though.
Reid's.
It could be. I'm not saying that Pacheco makes the wrong call there. I'm just saying I know Hunt makes the right call there.
Yeah.
What I want to go back though, because you said Hunt ran behind the same O line that Pacheco did, but he didn't.
Tonight,
Because no,
tonight he did.
he didn't. Because Pacheco ran early. Jawan Taylor got hurt during the game. I forget exactly when, but Wanye Morris played right tackle for the rest of the game, and that was
So-
who Hunt ran behind on the right tackle side. So it was a little bit of a different
It was
offensive
different,
line.
but
Some would say
effectively
weaker.
not as good. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So Hunt had to work harder for what he got. And that's I don't know, man. I feel so disappointed in myself for my take on Pacheco early on until I really started looking at it. And the more I watch his inability to break tackles. At this point, I almost feel like we're only using Hunt sparingly because we really want to save him for the playoffs.
Mhm.
Yep.
And that's why we're seeing a lot more Pacheco right now, is because he's just kind of like, we'll use you in the playoffs when we can, but we really need Hunt 100% for the playoffs.
Yep. Well,
Which is
I
funny
hope-
because Hunt only came in because, like, we only got Hunt because Pacheco got hurt. Like,
Well-
we weren't out there looking for another running back, right?
That-
But
that's
I
how
do
Tom
think
Brady.
well,
P.
maybe.
Ryan has also made a huge difference, though. I think P. Ryan
He
is
only makes a difference in the catching game, though. I don't think
Correct.
he's got more than 15 or 20 rushes on the year.
no, but the catching game, I do feel like he's very
He's
effective, and
really,
I think
yeah.
Hunt and Pacheco are both okay at the catching game.
I don't think yeah.
And P.
I think
Ryan's really
Pacheco's
good
okay,
at
but I think
pass.
Hunt is a little better.
Hunt is, man. Hunt still catches those balls, but I think P. Ryan is better than both of them in pass protection, in chipping off.
protection.
Yeah, which is huge for a third down back. I mean, I don't see Hunt and Pacheco really doing anything but slowing down somebody for about a half a second. But P. Ryan will get in there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he will. Yeah. He knows that he's never going to be the featured back at this point. He's got to
Yeah.
do everything he can to stay relevant.
Yep, but dude,
And I think he's doing it.
Yeah.
Hollywood back.
He looked like he's been playing for a few games already, and they've
Mhm.
been work. It's almost like we're in the second or third game of the season, and he never actually went down. This is kind of where I expected
Yeah,
to see them. So
he was
I
the
was
second.
really excited.
Yeah, he was the second in production. Targeted 8 times, caught 5 of them.
And at least
45
2 of
yards,
those were not his
20-yard
fault.
run.
Those were bad
Mhm.
throws by Mahomes. I'm not 100% sure about the third one that he missed, but 2 of those were definitely uncatchable.
Yep.
Well, you have to remember too, they brought it up on the announcers brought it up during the game, but Mahomes practiced with Hollywood and Rasheed Rice all off season, right?
You know who else has brought this up multiple times on the podcast over this
Oh my
last
God.
season?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
This guy.
Blake Shelton. Yeah. Blake Shelton
Yeah.
did.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I
just
brought it
think-
up every time.
Yes, I'm aware. I got the joke. I just think they had that connection before, and so coming back, I feel like it was much easier to kind of pick up where they left off. Whereas Worthy, they didn't start practicing together till after the draft, and things like that. So I feel like it's taken them a little bit longer. And Worthy's a rookie, right? So he's also learning other things and trying to get other things, not just working on the connection. Hollywood Brown already had the receiver skills.
Well, see, and
right? He just had to work on the connection and the communication with Mahomes, and he did that already.
that's why I was so excited about Hollywood for this season, because the second that he found out that he was coming here, he moved here and was just like knocking on Patrick Mahomes' door, like, "Hey, bro, can we practice? You want to throw the ball? Want to throw the ball?" Like that's the difference of what he brings. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, it kind of gives me goosebumps
Ugh.
thinking ahead to the
I
playoffs
actually
right
have him
now.
right now.
Honestly,
I actually have him
yeah,
right now. That's
it was
good.
amazing their connection. All the I'll tell you what bothered me a little bit though is the Kelsey Mahomes thing where they were off a couple of times today, not just once. And
Yeah.
I don't know whose fault it was. I don't care whose fault it was. I think it was just just a bad game. Hope that's it.
But man, when you really need it, Kelsey comes in clutch, right? Like you need a third down conversion, and Kelsey's there, and he's making it happen. So
It's just weird to see him off sync at so much.
Yeah,
But
more than once in a game. It almost always happens like once a game, but yeah,
sure.
to happen more than once was a little weird.
what
Well, there
about
was one pass where I think he was throwing it to Kelsey in the end zone, and Worthy was also there and jumped up for the ball, and then it
That's the
like
one. That's the one where he Sky Moored it and almost Kadarius Toney'd it. Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't the target on that, but I think
yeah,
he was the target, but he wasn't the intended target to start the
yeah.
play, and
I
then he
don't
had
think
to
if he hadn't have
scramble.
gone up, I don't think it would have been complete to Kelsey though. That defender
It would
was
have been picked.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
100%.
another thing to talk about is so so our butt kicker, our kicker,
Uh,
butt
I
kicker.
got it.
He
Got it.
I don't know, man. Like it's not looking. He's looking a little shaky on his accuracy. Like he barely made
It's like a
the one
27
field
yard
goal. Yeah, and it
where
was
it's
a
just like
dink.
squeaked in. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh god.
I'm a little worried about that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little worried.
Uh,
Yeah.
was it Justin Reed? Was he doing point afters?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
Justin Reed wasn't even kicking off today.
Butker was
okay.
doing kickoffs today. So it like I think last week he wasn't doing kickoffs, so you knew he wasn't 100%. This week he's doing kickoffs, but I'm sure he's still not 100%, right? So I think he'll be fine. He still made him in, right? Sometimes the angle I feel like from the TV too looks more off than it actually was, right? Like there's lots of times where I think they missed it.
Do you think
And
that maybe him getting the surgery and getting this fixed has thrown him off because he's been used to kicking with that injury for so long?
I think it's when he came back from the first injury a couple years ago and he had to relearn his whole thing. He missed a few. Like it was a
or he
weird
kept missing
thing.
extra points. Whenever
Yeah,
he'd make
he
like
missed like
60-yard field goals and
four
he'd
extra
miss like
points that
2
year.
extra points a game. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, so I wonder if it's just getting used to it again now. But he's still I mean, he's using the same tech. The last time he had to learn a whole new technique where he dropped on the plant foot. And now he's still doing that, but it seems like he's just he's just a little off. I think that'll come, but I'm just scared going into the playoffs like this. And playoffs?
Playoffs?
Playoffs? We're just trying to win a game here. You talking about playoffs?
Playoffs? Practice? We talking about practice.
Um, yeah, so I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, I
Mahomes
want
was
to
only
talk
sacked
about
once today, which was nice.
Yep.
yes, very
And
nice.
only QB hurried or QB hits or whatever, only 4. I mean,
Yeah, it was I felt
solid.
like yeah, they kept him pretty safe and he did look more comfortable in the pocket. He did
Yeah.
look like he was getting used to the way the line is performing together right now to the point that now I'm a little bit scared when Humphreys comes in. It's like Tooney's kind of getting it together, and I know that's not his natural position, but man, he's you know the the way that him and Caliendo are performing together in this, you know, patchwork offensive line, I almost don't want to
Mhm.
mess with it because it's the best that this offensive line has looked all year.
Yeah, the pass protection is legit. The run protection isn't as good, but the pass protection is good. And to be honest, if I was going to have one over the other, I would go with the pass protection being much more robust than the run protection. I think we've got Hunt who can get through some of the run blocking that we're lacking right now.
Yep.
But I think we did throw a couple more deep balls this time. I think Watson, you guys remember the Watson drop? He
Yes.
should have caught that.
Yes, he should
That was
have.
a great deep ball, and he just muffed it. It's
Dude,
fine.
I feel like that's what Watson always does. I've been talking smack on Watson forever, and I just
I
don't
feel
know
like
why we
Watson has
keep
like
him.
one or two catches every other game, and he does pretty well. Like I don't feel like I notice him dropping the ball all the time, and I could be wrong.
I
I
did
might,
last year. This year he's been better, but
yeah.
See, and I see it
to,
the exact
today,
opposite. I've never noticed it in the past. He's always been the dependable guy.
oh God,
And
no,
I've
Well, when you've got
God
Sky
no.
Moore and Kadarius Tony dropping every other pass, Watson's one or two drops a game didn't seem very bad.
Yeah, but
Every,
he's only targeted once or twice a game. That's the
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
that's
That's why
true.
it's yeah, Watson, dude. Okay, so when he missed that ball, I was thinking to myself, that's the Watson I remember from last year. And it's just the truth.
Yeah,
Go back and watch his can you find non-highlights of players? Do people make videos like that?
Like the anti-highlights.
Yeah, like
the bad plays.
the dropped balls because he
The
had
bleep up reel.
so many dropped last year.
Yeah.
The defense looked good as far as quarterback hits. We got 11 of them, 9 tackles for a loss. 2 sacks. But the problem is, what was their third down conversion? Because all I
It was the
know,
exact same. It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
53.8 or something. Yeah, both teams were exactly the same.
well, it's just we let them go down the field. We had so many good plays, and then we would just let them convert on second or third down easy.
And long a few
And
times.
that happened quite a bit. And I don't
Yeah, it was like
understand.
54%.
Yeah, but but you're talking about percentage.
Well, I'll tell you
but
what play it wasn't
how
with was
how
the
many?
receiver screen because we absolutely slaughtered their receiver screen every single time, tackled for a loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It was 7 out of 13, Bobby.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, I don't know, man. And those usually the third down ones were big plays. And what about the right side of the field? If you're on the Texans offense, the right side of the field, that flat was open how many times? Completely open and nobody on them. I don't know. They were having running backs or tight ends just wait for a second and then run out, but that was open a good
I
at
feel like they
least
were
2 or
trying
3
to
times.
they were trying to cheat because I I feel like they expected CJ Stroud to really try and show out today. And so they were kind of trying to keep that from happening as much as possible. And I mean, yeah, it burned us, but it didn't burn us enough.
Right.
So I don't hate that play call because the secondary, as we talked about earlier, definitely needed a little bit of help,
Yeah,
and I think
for
that's what
sure.
Spags was doing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think having a wide open somebody in the flat occasionally doesn't nearly get me as angry as seeing somebody down the field, just literally nobody even close to them.
Yeah,
Like
that
every time
didn't.
they throw down the field, I'm like,
I
what
didn't.
is happening?
It didn't seem like that happened a whole lot today, though. Did it
No,
seem
it
like
didn't
that to
happen as
you?
much, but it did happen. Like they did throw it down the field quite a few times. And Okay, there was people in the camera view this time at least, so you could see that there was a Chiefs defender at some point in the field close enough to be in camera, but not close enough to defend the ball. I think that's more to do with their wide receivers though, to be honest. I mean, they lost their I think their number 1 wide receiver already, and then Dell went out, middle of the game, and so I think they only had Nico and
That's where we got Hopkins from, so they lost Hopkins this year too.
yeah, well,
That would have made a whole
that's
different
funny.
ball game had Hopkins been on the Texans instead
Oh,
of the Chiefs today.
dude,
Yeah.
Hopkins is just so reliable, and I
Wait,
just
Hopkins
love
was on the
seeing him catch
Titans.
balls.
That's why he
Yeah.
did remember the Titans after his
Right.
first TD.
Yeah.
They
You're
both
right.
start with T-Buck. It's okay. It was a
Yeah.
nice try.
Yeah.
Um, we did score in every quarter, which I wanted to bring up because I think that is
I didn't
good
notice that.
for
Yep.
us.
Hell of
Yeah.
a notice.
And then
We've
we
traditionally sucked in the third quarter
Third
this year.
quarter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we
And we
didn't do
started off
great,
that way.
but
That first
you
offensive
know,
drive.
yeah, I think we only got 3 points in the No, we got a touchdown in the third quarter. But possession time, we dominated in the fourth quarter. Like it was 10 minutes to not even 5 minutes for them. So we dominated possession time in the fourth quarter, which is great. We
I'll be
dominated it pretty much the whole game.
if we're looking at the fourth quarter, you kind of have to really take into account that Stroud definitely was not playing. He was definitely still had a lot on his mind, thinking about his friend at
Sure.
the hospital. Because what did he have? It was at least 2, maybe 3 delay of games in the
Mhm.
fourth quarter. I mean, it was bad.
I only remember one, to be honest.
Well, he
It
at
was at
least
least
had 2.
2.
Yeah, it was
Was
at
it?
least 2. I think it might have
Yeah.
been 3.
It may have been one of the plays I missed.
But he's
Yeah.
just I felt just bad for him too because of that.
Oh yeah. Felt horrible for that guy.
But I was happy he threw us 2 interceptions. How'd you guys feel about Patrick Mahomes getting a rushing TD and blowing through the line at the start?
Oh my
It was like, are you
God,
kidding me
man.
right now? Stop it,
I
Pat.
know. Yeah. Go down. I was yelling, go
Oh my
down.
God.
If you get hurt here. But then he did the same thing that he did during the 49ers game. Yeah, he absolutely trucked his way in.
Uh-huh. He did.
Ran over that defender. That
Oh,
was
man.
Yeah, it was terrifying, but I think after that I was like, okay, I think he's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I do think that gave me confidence that his ankle was okay. I was still mad at him for doing it because I was like, I would rather lose this game than you hurt your ankle even more. But yeah,
Oh,
that's just on him.
another mention that I wanted to get in this episode is thank God that we had a backup return guy on our practice squad that could come in here and do a very serviceable job when McCole Hardman went out. Remigio has been really good. He's not great. He's not super flashy, but he runs hard. He finds holes when they're there. I don't think we're ever going to see a return from him, but I love his effort.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm saying he looks just as good as McCole Hardman. Like Nico
just don't think
Romero
he's
looks
quite as-
just as good.
I don't think he's
Returning.
quite
He
as
has a
fast.
vision. I don't think he has as much of the vision, but McCole
Yeah, I
Hardman's
don't think
been
he's got
doing
the
it a
experience.
long time.
Yeah, yep. And I think
So,
he's still faster than Remigio. I really do. I
yeah.
think he's just a step faster.
Is he? Yeah,
I
I'm
could be
not
wrong.
sure.
I don't have 40 times in front of me, but just the eye test, the way I see it.
Yeah, I think Hardman's a little faster for sure. What do you
Yeah.
guys think about us going for 2 fourth downs this game? Well,
Oh,
we
I'm
know
always
about the second one.
yeah, I mean, I'm always down for the opportunity, but if you're gonna call that play, just punt it. Absolutely ridiculous. I never
Yeah.
wanna see that again.
We
It's
got one of
Marty
them
ball.
though.
We did get one of them, but it wasn't that play.
Yeah, it was Hollywood though that got it early.
Yep.
Yep.
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
But
That was
yeah,
his first catch.
I don't know
Catch
why.
with the Chiefs.
I
Fourth down.
I like it because it says Andy's maybe getting a little bit more confidence in the team, but I think losing that one definitely lost confidence. And
No running.
I'm pretty sure Pacheco at least didn't carry the ball again after that, from what I saw. But I don't even know if he was
I don't
in.
think he got
There
any
was
carries
I
after that.
definitely was not paying attention to that, but I definitely don't remember seeing him on the field again now that it's mentioned. So it very well could have been that, yeah.
And,
But
I
you know
mean,
what?
what Pacheco had 9 total carries, right? And in the
Man,
first half, well, he only had 4 in the first half.
yeah, and that's probably about right. And then he started the second half running until that series, and then he was done. Yeah.
hmm Yeah, it was like mid third quarter that we gave it up on downs.
Yeah. I will say this about this game. I know it was the 16th one-score game in a row that the Chiefs have pulled out. And I know I've talked a lot about comfortable victories, a victory where we can kind of sit back and kind of enjoy the game in the fourth quarter, especially. And I know that we only ended up with the one-score win, but it really did feel like I really kind of enjoyed that fourth quarter a lot more than I have gritting
Mhm.
my teeth and my heart is racing, my adrenaline's flowing, my anxiety is just and
Yeah, it
that just
definitely
wasn't there
wasn't
towards the
as
end of the game.
stressful.
There were times during the game that I had that. Don't get me wrong. It was
Right.
not like a comfortable. I know the Chiefs are going to win the whole time, but I was pretty impressed.
that's it.
Really was.
That's it. That's interesting that you say that, because I was sitting there relaxed, even though it was still a one-score game. I was almost positive we were going to win, and I have not felt that way. I mean, I
And
was actually
all season.
laying back on the couch rather than sitting up and rocking back and forth like a crazy person, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I felt pretty comfortable the entire game, and that's not been the case throughout.
Not even against the Browns or
Yeah.
the Panthers, the 2-win teams. We didn't feel that
Right?
comfortability.
Yep. And now, if the Bills can find it in their hearts to lose, then,
I mean, if we
Netflix gets
win
screwed.
I didn't wanna
we
say it the
win
whole
either one of
episode,
our
Bob.
next games.
Yeah,
It's
but I'm
over.
just saying
Yeah.
we could
But if the
sit
Bills lose,
starters and really relax players for the next 2 weeks and
which
still
I
have the
don't
bye
know
if the Bills lose.
I don't know if that's what I wanna see, though. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't want them to lose this. I don't know if momentum's the right word, but, this
They gotta
when
practice.
when you sit for that long without playing an actual game, we're gonna see some
That'd be
mishaps.
like a
We're gonna
month.
s Yeah, it's gonna man.
I think
I
we could
don't
play
want
them first.
injuries.
I think we could play them like first half and then maybe put in some backup second half. You
Yeah,
know
I
what I
Yeah,
think
mean?
yeah.
that's what you do.
Yeah. By the way, I did confirm Pacheco had 1 more carry after the
Okay,
4th down stop.
okay. Alright, so take off your tinfoil hat, Bob.
I never put it on, but I
I
got
know,
it
I
ready
know. Yeah. That
just
was
in
a
case.
tinfoil hat thing to say, and we should have brought that up when we said that.
To be fair, it was 1 more carry when we had it was 1st and 10 and it was with like 3.5 minutes left in the game.
Yeah,
So we weren't really trying to
run it up.
yeah, we were just trying to waste clock.
Yep.
Well, speaking of the clock, 'tis a ticking.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. We had all kinds of tech difficulties, so we don't have an opportunity to go long, but I think we've covered mostly everything
Yeah. That
that
was
we
everything on my
wanted to
list.
talk about. I'm just hoping, you know, uh, Chris Jones did go down with a calf injury towards the end of the game. That's a little scary. It's a little scary.
Mhm.
And
Agreed.
but Wanye Morris seemed to do good for the injury to Juwan Taylor.
Yeah, I didn't even notice. So
Worthy
good
got
on him.
beat up a little bit. Hopefully he's fine. But yeah,
I mean,
and
he was back out.
Oh, he came out and made some plays after
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
But that doesn't mean he's not still hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
sure.
Mahomes comes out and makes plays, but You know, his
And after the Dell
like,
injury, I feel like nobody else is hurt. Like you just gotta,
oh yeah, and yeah, our heart goes out to Tank Dell, and we hope
100%.
we hope this didn't end your career, and glad it wasn't a Chief that did it to you.
Yeah.
Makes us feel better,
Mhm.
but all in all, we just hope that you get better and that this doesn't end your career. And heart goes out to the whole team. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, don't
All right.
forget to follow us on all the socials. You can find all of our stuff, everything: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twix, X, everything at buckandbob.com. That's BUKNBOB.com. And yeah, you can search Buck and Bob, BUKNBOB, sometimes spaces, sometimes no. And yeah, just help us out. We are now streaming on Facebook, X, and YouTube simultaneously. I might add TikTok in there if I can figure out how to make us, because you have to do like the phone version. So I have to figure out how to do that thing or whatever. But
Aspect ratio.
yeah, but you can do it to where I'll have
Fancy.
OBS open and it'll have what we look like on phones and what we look like on the other. Be interesting to do that, but we'll see about that. We had enough tech difficulties today with all this crap, so we'll just have to see how that goes. But Buck, where can we find you?
As always, I'm on Facebook, and then you can find me at Twix. It's at Buck_tastic. That's BUK_TASTIK.
And Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me here after every game.
Okay, and you can find me on Twitter, X, Twix at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. Whew. All right, guys, let's get out of here.
Bye.
Latest in the Menjay.
Oh, you didn't do the thing you normally do.
Oh.